Stratford Square Mall originally opened in 1981 with 4 anchors and at its peak had 6 anchors. It has over 1 million square feet of retail space and was once one of the top malls in Chicagoland. Now, in 2020, it has been falling very fast. Right now, it only has Kohl's and Burlington Coat Factory serving as anchors and is currently owned by the Namdar Realty Group. This mall is in deep trouble, and this video wants to explore the history of Stratford Square Mall and what has pushed it to decline so far. Stratford Square Mall originally opened in 1981 with the goal to serve the booming far western suburbs of Chicagoland. This area was in high growth and they needed a mall. However, in 1991, Woodfield Mall, its neighbor about 20 minutes away to the north, expanded, adding a Nordstrom and a Lord & Taylor. That would furthermore cement Woodfield's position as the luxury mall. Stratford Square would be the mall that would cater toward, the average middle class people, while Woodfield would try to cater toward them and the luxury people. However, through the 90s, Stratford Square was able to hold itself pretty steady with an impressive anchor lineup of Sears, Kohl's, Carson Pirie Scott, Montgomery Ward, JCPenney, and Marshall Fields. The mall was undeniably doing pretty well. Stratford was always a neighborhood mall though. People did not come from across the region to come here. They would go to Woodfield. Woodfield is located at the intersection of 2 major interstates, Interstate 90 and 290. Meanwhile, Stratford is located along some major suburban roads and not very close to an interstate, making Stratford more like a neighborhood mall in a regional mall's body. That kind of thing would not last into the early 2000s. In 2001, Montgomery Ward would go out of business and the building would be later taken over by a massive 2-level Burlington Coat Factory. Around this time, many shopping centers were being built surrounding the mall. Across the street even, there's a shopping center that is filled up with mall stores like Justice, Carter's, and another Bath & Body Works. There are plenty of other stores surrounding the mall, and this area was really starting to get built up, and it was not helping the mall at all. To the north, you have Woodfield, the Arboretum, and plenty of other shopping complexes. To the east, you have Yorktown and Oakbrook Center, which create a massive shopping corridor. To the south, you have the Route 59 corridor, which again filled up with every single store that is imaginable, serving the Naperville area. To the west, you have Von Maur in St. Charles. And you have the Randall Road corridor, which is much like the Route 59 corridor, has every single store you can imagine. What should have been Stratford's trade area was being chipped at by all of these other developments surrounding it. In 2005, Feldman Properties acquired Stratford Square and announced plans to bring in more entertainment, upscale stores, and restaurants into the mall. And they were pretty successful with that vision early on. They brought in Century Theaters that would locate into the center court of the mall. They added new restaurants like Red Robin, Quick Fire Cafe, and some new restaurants basically. Improved the overall look of the mall, and they were pretty successful early on in carrying out that vision. In 2006, Marshall Fields did rebrand as Macy's. I probably should mention that. And then in 2008, Feldman Properties declared bankruptcy, and suddenly that whole plan was derailed, and the mall was in this weird state of limbo where it was still owned by Feldman, but Feldman was in bankruptcy. In 2013, Street Mac acquired Stratford with intentions to carry out the same vision that Feldman did. However, their plan would be completely derailed when, in 2014, JCPenney closed. In 2015, they were able to bring in Round One, which is a Japanese arcade. They're still there. And it's similar to a Dave & Buster's or a Bolero almost. In 2017, Macy's closed. In 2018, Carson's went out of business, so they closed. In 2019, Sears closed. The store actually did last pretty long for Sears, so I do gotta give them that. At the end of 2019, Street Mac could see the writing on the wall for Stratford. The mall was only down to 2 anchors, one of them, Burlington, being reduced down to 1 floor, they could tell this mall was going down. So Street Mac sold the mall to Namdar Realty Group, who really said nothing about future plans. In 2018, Street Mac did announce that they would demolish the Macy's and a portion of the mall leading up to the Macy's to build a Woodman's Food Market in its place. If you are not familiar with what Woodman's is, Woodman's operates massive grocery stores, and they're like some of the biggest in the country, and they're like known for being really cheap. They make Walmart look expensive, to be honest. And their stores are bigger than Walmart, and it's just a pure grocery store. Undeniably, it will be pretty successful, and it will bring a lot of people onto the mall property. And it'll for sure help the stores surrounding the mall, except maybe the Mariano's across the street. So that is good, but it won't really help the inside of the mall at all. If you go grocery shopping, a lot of times you don't go into the mall every time. If it had a mall entrance, it might actually help the mall. But with no mall entrance, the Woodman's will be pretty disconnected from the mall itself, meaning it really won't be that helpful for the mall at all. It's almost like it's the first phase of the demauling of Stratford. In March of 2020, the mall was forced to close because of COVID-19, and it did reopen at the end of May in 2020. This footage that you're seeing was filmed in late June of 2020, and the mall was empty and nobody was here. A lot of stores were still closed, and it's going to be a hard time for a lot of these businesses that are still here at Stratford. I was wearing a mask while I filmed this, by the way. Masks are required in the state of Illinois, like it should be in every single state. To the left, this restaurant had closed before the pandemic, and it was a big part of how Street Mac aimed to redevelop the mall. It was touted for a year. To the left, this store, it looks like it had moved all of its merchandise out. This was a Harley Davidson gift shop, basically. They moved out all their merchandise, and they're probably not reopening. We are now moving into the Mall Center Court, which is arguably one of the most impressive mall center courts in all of Chicagoland, in my opinion. This is where the core of the activity of the mall still is. The food court here is still pretty occupied, and most of the stores are still occupied. To the right is Kohl's and a mall security guard, and Kohl's had their mall entrance closed, so they really weren't helping the mall at all. Kohl's is trying to centralize all traffic into one entrance, and they cut down their mall access. Nice. Now we're going into a kind of rare store, an FYE. This store was probably the busiest store in the entire mall, even though it doesn't look busy at all in this. But there were people here. I really like that emoji thing. Pretty interesting. I've never really spent much time in an FYE, so it was definitely interesting to look around. Up above is the very impressive Century Theater's location. In my opinion, it's one of the coolest mall movie theaters around. These are actually the only set of working escalators in the entire mall, partially because this is the busiest part of the mall. This area still has a lot of stores, and if you took a picture of the center court, the mall would still look like it was doing okay. Not amazing, but okay. With the movie theater being located in the mall, you can't access this movie theater outside. You have to go through the mall, which, I mean, is annoying for security purposes at night. But all in all, it really helps keep the mall going. If this movie theater didn't have mall access, the mall would probably be dead, or like really dead by now. And it is kind of fortunate with that. As long as the movie theater's here, I don't think Stratford will close. Kohl's shutting down their mall entrance. I don't know if that's going to be permanent or not. Probably not. But it's overall, with that movie theater here, the mall should stay open. The moment that movie theater closes, the mall's done. Down this corridor is where the Macy's and the JCPenney used to be. Now it's completely cut off, and there's really not a lot of foot traffic down here. The mall used to continue on past that white wall, and there used to be like another mall entrance down there. But last year when they started construction on the Woodmans, that mall entrance closed, thus making this corridor a complete dead end. Just in case you're concerned, the plants are fake. The storefront on the left that is branded as a Coca-Cola studio is just basically a vending machine area with some tables and chairs in there. Nothing too fancy. A few years ago, the mall started to try to fill empty storefronts with like sitting areas and just places to relax. That's the last one that's still there. Only one set of escalators was working in the entire mall, and that's never a good sign. This is obviously the busiest corridor of the mall. This goes down toward where Burlington and the old Carsons used to be. and it's filled up with like a massage parlor, and there was the owner just standing out here waiting for business. Kind of sad. There's like an escape room, a fitness center, a jewelry shop, and then at the very end of this corridor is a puppy store, right next to the old Carson's actually. The ceilings at this mall are amazing. You can always look up, and it's always a beautiful sight on this upper floor, with light shining everywhere. And they have like green accent colors. It's just amazing, actually. Right now we're going to be looking at the Burlington Coat Factory store here. This store was in the process of trying to clear out all of its merchandise after they reopened from COVID, and they wanted to bring new merchandise in. All Burlingtons apparently are doing this. But the store was empty, and it was kind of surreal. It looked like they were closing. And this store, in my opinion, looks terrible. It is beige, ugly, terrible carpets. The outside looks like a compound. It's brown. This is the upper floor. They closed off the upper floor a few years ago, except for the restrooms, so they have to maintain access to this area. And it is kind of like walking through an abandoned building. It doesn't feel like you're supposed to be here, but there's the restrooms. Again, they just covered everything up with this beige and white, and it's pretty evident that there's some interesting architectural bones within this building. Like, look at this like atrium area above the escalators. There's an awesome ceiling with light shining down. It's kind of interesting. But then Burlington like covered it up with beige and white, and newer Burlington stores are a little bit fancier, but I would be stunned if they wanted to invest in this store. I mean, yeah, it's kind of sad. There used to be a mall entrance up here, but that did close a few years ago when they abandoned the upper floor. So they had one-way aisle markers, and it was pretty easy to social distance in here, and it was nice that they even had a mall entrance at all, unlike Kohl's, which was mean and cut themselves off from the mall at all. Still though, this was a very surreal feeling to be in here, and I really question their decision to try to clear out all their merchandise now, because I mean, TJ Maxx and no other store are doing it like that. I don't know what they're thinking. It's almost like seeing a ghost when the Sears and the Carson signs are both up. Burlington never used the upper floor entrance to the building, and thus the old merchandise pickup sign from Montgomery Ward was able to stay up. Kinda interesting in my opinion. This clothes store was actually pretty busy. No one was actually going into the mall though from here. Thank you so much for watching this video until the very end, and I do hope that you enjoyed it. I mean, you did watch like 22 minutes of it, unless you like skipped forward. You might have done that too. But I hope you enjoyed it nevertheless. If you would like to watch another video kind of like this, you could click one of the videos on the screen now. And if you do go out in public, wear a mask.